Now playing the Hook and Bridge podcast.
I fucking love Kesha. I'm telling you, I'm the worst person to have a podcast. I can barely speak.
Oh my god, I love doing this!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Hook and Bridge podcast, episode number 41. Taylor, we have an incredible guest on the show today.
So excited.
So excited. Me and Lindsay are super excited. This is my wife, Lindsay, by the way. But please, everybody, welcome Mims to the show. Huge fans here, man.
Thank you.
For the audience, in case you don't know, fantastic hits. You got This Is Why I'm Hot. You got Like This. You got Move If You Wanna, Love Roller Coaster, Heal Me. The list goes on and on. Those are just my personal favorite tracks of yours.
Thank you.
But basically, man, thank you for coming on the show. I'm gonna let Taylor start the show. She's my little sister. We're a brother-sister duo here, and she has a couple of questions she wants to ask you, and then I'm gonna follow up with some of mine. So Taylor.
How you doing, Taylor?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I have no complaints at all. I'm I'm trying to be a technical savvy person, but sometimes I'm learning.
Oh no, you look great. I mean, I'm using just a computer camera, so your thing looks crisp.
Well, yeah, you guys look great though. Actually,
You look very
everybody's
professional.
camera looks good. So thank you.
So the first question that I kind of had was, I thought it was really interesting that you helped create an app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, that's like super cool. So Harley and I are both super creative, and we always have been. And I just wanted to know, what was your favorite part of like the developing process to watch your like concepts come to life?
Yeah, I got introduced into technology sometime probably around 2012. And obviously I released music and I released commercial music and had success in around in like early 2000, late 2006, early 2007 was when I really kind of popped on the scene. And for me, what I realized is, as going through what I went through in the music industry, like being an artist, there's a lot of pain points that artists face, and one of the biggest ones is like just being able to record music and having the ability to record. Like, studios have always been expensive. Even if you rewind like 25 years ago, you had to actually go to a professional studio, and those are really, really costly. So most people couldn't afford that. And then when my career started to blossom, I was fortunate enough to learn how to build my own home studio. And even that cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And I said to myself, just for someone to be creative, it shouldn't matter where they come from. If they have like an inner desire to be creative, they should have a utility to be able to record at a fraction of the cost. So my goal was to like take this thing here and turn it into a mobile studio. And that was the first goal. And then the second goal was, when artists discover that they want to be musicians, the one thing that they lack in is having access to like quality production. So I decided to say, let me build an app that actually gives them the studio, but also gives them access to producers that they would have never had access to. So I reached out to like a few of the producers I know in the industry, and I got them to guarantee and give me production. And then eventually we just kind of created this app called Creator, which allows a person to use their cell phone to record music, shoot a video for it, and then eventually share it across their social networks.
That's incredible,
That's
man.
so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, what all that I said to say is that I was really just passionate about trying to fix something in an industry that I came from, and that's where the idea stemmed from.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're a little starstruck over here, man.
Oh, it's okay.
It's just,
you guys are cool.
You're our first hip hop artist as well, and grew up in that age. So like
Yeah.
it's really cool to have, somebody from that genre of music on. Go ahead, Taylor. I know you have at least
Thank you.
one more.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're all right, buddy. You keep fangirling over there. All right. So my next question, with you being a musician, where do you find most of your inspiration for music? Like, how do you go about that?
So for me, it's really different. I think a lot of mine is based on production, right? So, I know a lot of people they tend to come up with ideas prior to going in studios. Me, I like to be in a studio, hands-on, with the ability to record right then and there when I actually come up with a concept. I rarely ever write music away from a studio and then record it. So for me, it's the process is always, let me get in somewhere. I mean, if you like, even in here, like, I'm in my home now, and I have access to, like, production equipment. And even though I don't record as much as I did when I was younger, I just feel like that I'm always inspired to do something. And for me, my brain works where I have to get it out right then and there, or else I'll just forget about it. So there's like a funny saying that someone said, is that they forgot more hit records than they actually put out. And I guess the same would go for me. Like, sometimes I'll be driving in a car and I think of something and I'm like, yo, this is a hit. And then maybe 10 minutes later, like, my memory is gone and I don't even remember half of what I said. So for me, it really just boils down to me being actually in a studio. The other side of my inspiration comes from, just everyday life and everyday things. And the reason why I actually don't record music as much as I did is because where hip hop is now, I don't feel like I have many things that are relatable to the current state of where rap and hip hop, the genre, is now. I like to say, when I recorded music in the past, it was really more about people having fun, going out, partying, doing things like that. And I think nowadays I'm a lot more conscious about my lifestyle and what I say. So I find it actually harder to record music as an adult, because you don't want to put the wrong message out there.
Right. So first off, the name's Mims. I did a little bit of research. And I did not know this, and I'm curious on if this is a true fact or if this is just some Wikipedia stuff here. But it did say that the name Mims stood for "Music is my savior." Was that a concept that you came up with?
Yeah. So oddly enough, everybody kind of gets as it's always a fact that people find out. Mims is actually my real name.
Yeah, that's
it's
what I
actually
thought.
my real last name.
Yeah.
And what happened with me was, when I was growing up, I had an older brother, and obviously you have your sister, and we went to school together. And in order for them to distinctify the difference between us, they used to call him Big Mims and they used to call me Little Mims. And I think just something about that last name, people love, just like, even when they look at it, because people get it wrong sometimes. I used to be called Sims a lot, or Mimes, or Mums. And so I think when people see the name, it intrigues them enough to say it. And when I was growing up, I kind of lived under his shadow. So they would call me Little Mims, and it stuck. And then when I got older, I forgot who told me to make it an acronym. They said that you have to make it mean something. And it's crazy, because if you make it mean something, it's actually Mims as well. And I was like, well, I'm doing this album, and the things that I've been through in my childhood, like, the music was really that thing that just helped me overcome a lot. So yeah, I mean, I was like, music is my savior. And I mean, I get a lot of flack from it, especially from people who are really religious, because I think they misinterpret the understanding of music as my savior. It doesn't mean that I don't believe in a higher being or higher power. It just means that I was gifted that ability to live my life vicariously through music. So I'm, yeah, music is my savior. It's odd, but I love the fact that I've broken it down to that acronym, because I feel like that's just not something that I can own. It's something that a lot of people can own. Like, a lot of people use music as a refuge, and music is my savior, is like I guess it's become a way of life for me more than it is just a part of my last name.
Right, right. And for the listeners, if they haven't already, but you did this fantastic interview on BET, and you can see that on YouTube, and that really dove into your childhood and growing up and everything, and you really talked. It's an incredible interview that they did. So I definitely won't pinpoint too much of that because I'd prefer for them to go see that. But I mean, your childhood and the stuff that you went through and like growing up, I know we watched it obviously, but like with your dad being a DJ and that passion of, being in that situation where you wanted to kind of explore music through him. That's just an incredible backstory, man.
I realize that even the traumas we go through in life, and we all face them as human beings, we all face our own traumas and things that we have to. But I feel like the most beautiful things in life come from when you can like actually face it. And I know it's easier said than done for a lot of people, because there's a lot of people in this world that are struggling mentally or physically or whatever. And what I realized when I look back at my story, and I think about all the things that I've been through, I realized that every single thing, whether it was a good experience or a bad experience, led me to being who I am today. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, when you can look back and say, damn, at that time, I didn't realize that I would go through certain things and get through it. But now that I look at it, I'm like, is a famous saying from, I believe it's either Frederick Douglass or Nietzsche. Don't quote me on who said it, but it says what does not kill us makes us stronger.
And Kelly Clarkson also said that.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clark, you're right about that. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think that's the perfect way to look at things, is that the things we go through in life, as long as we don't let them hinder us, they're always gonna push us to be stronger people.
Absolutely, man. So another question, I noticed the hat there. Is that a Pirates hat?
It is.
Are you a Pirates fan?
I'm actually a Yankees fan. So I mean, if you guys are Pirates fans, I apologize. It's a coincidence. But here's the thing: when I go I buy a lot of hats. Like I got a collection of hats, and I just like black hats. So like whenever I see a black hat with a black emblem, I buy it. I think I have like a White Sox one. I have, but you know what's cool about hats? It's a conversation starter. I don't care where I am in the world. There's always someone that sees a hat and says, "Oh, you're a fan of the Yankees, or you're this fan," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I also like hats." So
yeah, that's a sweet hat, man. I was just looking at it, I was like, man, that's a dope hat. I want to get one of those hats.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're Pirates fans. We grew up in that area, so
nice.
We spent a lot of time over at that PNC Stadium.
I think I might have performed there once in my life, or somewhere near the area, but
probably Stage AE maybe. It
possibly
is,
years
ago. It's like right next to it.
It might have been something different at that point.
Yeah, though. Probably.
Yep.
So with you coming up in the ranks, right, early 2000s, like you said, you popped off right around like 2006, 2007, and for music, that was an interesting time, right? And we were coming out of this realm of like records selling to singles selling, and that introduction of like the MP3 and basically that virtual music library, right? How was that transition for music, and how did it really affect the industry, with you being right there in the middle of that, right in the middle of the industry at that time? Like, how did that affect the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think it was I always say it's the gift and a curse, right? So the gift is that I got to be the first, or one of the first. I don't want to take credit from everyone, but one of the first artists around that period of time to transition out of the whole thought of selling CDs into the whole digital era, which I always like to say I ushered in the digital era. What happens with that is that I also get a lot of backlash because prior to my success on the digital side, success in music always was attributed to album sales.
Right.
And if you didn't sell a certain amount of albums, they would consider the situation a flop, is what they usually use.
Mhm.
And then of course, I had to have a record called "This Is Why I'm Hot." So of course, the easiest transition would have been to say "This Is Why He Flopped." And I remember seeing these headlines everywhere. And at the time, you know, as an artist, you get you're hypersensitive about these scenarios, but I think eventually people started to realize, like I remember I sat in an interview, I think it was with MTV, and I predicted it. And I said it in the interview, and I'm like, look, you guys are really focused on physical sales, but physical sales are going to start to disappear at some point in time. And I'll take everything you want to give me on the chin. Yeah, I'll take all the punches for it. And I know no one's ever going to give me the credit for saying this at some point, but just mark my words, as long as it's documented, then people can always revert back to it and say, you know, he understood. It's just a natural process of evolution, man. I mean, I'm really big on technology, as you guys can see. Like, I love it. And in 2004, one of my business partners started up a company called DigiWax Media. And what DigiWax was, it was a digital record pool service company. So back in the day, DJs got their records from promoters, and the promoters would physically go with these vinyls, and they would hand it off to the DJs, and they would spin the vinyl in the club. And I forgot who invented the MP3. I want to say it was probably around the Winamp, Napster days. I'm dating myself. You guys are probably all way too young.
Oh no, we remember some good old Napster, LimeWire.
LimeWire, exactly. But I started to see that when I would release music, my music would end up on LimeWire. I wasn't a commercial artist, but it would end up on LimeWire, and it would be peer-to-peer transfers. And I'm like, like, people are starting to consume music using their computers. And then if you fast forward, maybe circa like 2004, 2005, cell phones and MP3 players started to become, you know, a little bit more prevalent. So like, I think the iPod was, I want to say right around that time. Like,
I think
I don't know.
The first one I think was 2008.
Yeah,
the first Apple iPod, at least, like the little
there were other
shuffle or something.
There were the smaller versions too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was a big brick one though. I want to Google it now, but I'm not going to do it. But I think there was a big old brick one that came out prior to me launching my career. And I was like, aha. So now you're going to start to get people to consume music portably, where we were going from the CD era, which was we had the Walkman, and we had the digital disc, and then eventually into MP3s. So I just knew it. I knew that technology at some point would kind of disrupt the industry. I tell people this all the time, and I'll say this. There's only a few people that have come along and influenced music in a crazy way. And one of the biggest influences in music is not even a musician. It was a guy by the name of Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs, obviously, with his creation of the Apple iPod, what he did was he single-handedly, and this is me nerding out, nerd talk.
No, that's all right.
He single-handedly said, and then actually the creation of iTunes with the iPod, and then iTunes came shortly after. What he did when he created that device was he said to the record label, he said to the consumers, you can consume music one record, one single at a time. And there should be no reason why you have to buy whole full albums. So if you prior to the invention of the iPod, record labels, what they did was they would make records really popular and then force you to buy the album if you wanted to hear that song. So Steve Jobs basically took it a step above and said, I want to break songs down into, I want to break albums down into individual songs. At that time, the price point per song was around, I want to say $3, right?
Yeah.
That's where it started at. And it was cool, but eventually that number started coming more down, and I think, and then settled somewhere around $1.30 to $1 to 99 cents, depending on the song that was being launched. And I said, forget about it. Like, if this is the case and people can get the music and the songs they want, and they don't have to, they can cut the fat of the albums, then at some point, digital singles will subside the disc or the Walkman or whatever, how people consume it. And I was right. And here we are, fast forward 2023. I don't even think people care about MP3s anymore. Like, I think,
Right.
now everything's streaming. So everything's
Yep.
Spotify, Apple Music. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it was documented, because you can always go back but at that time, boy, it was rough. Like, I
Yeah.
got a lot of slack for selling more digital singles than I did albums.
And I think that the thing that really hurts the most because like I said, I'm a musician as well. So for me, looking at it from a musician standpoint, like the thing that would hurt the most is at that time there weren't good tracking of the peer to peer. Like you didn't know who had your music at that time, right?
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no way to trace how many people actually liked your song. You had to base it off of how many people are showing up to my shows. You're
Yeah.
selling out arenas and stuff. So clearly the music's out there, but you've got no backing to show the label like I'm a hit, and that to
Yeah.
me would be like the detrimental thing to my mental stability would be like, I know I'm successful, but I have no way to show it. And you just got to
Yeah.
sit and read all those headlines and just be like, I'm telling you.
You know what I like to say, and being an artist, sometimes it's great, but it has its pitfalls, as you may understand, being an artist. It's like I can always use like analogies. I like to always use these analogies, and so I can break down the understanding of it. Record labels were so predatory with artists. Like, most artists never had it's like going to a car dealership. Like, I don't know one person who's like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a car, I'm so happy. Like, they get anxiety once you step onto a showroom floor, and a salesman comes at you. They're hitting you from every angle, everything. And I think that people were so used to feeling like they were overpaying for music or buying things that they didn't want. So much so that when the peer-to-peer came out and things like Napster and LimeWire became popular, what it said was two things. It was, one, it put the power in the consumer's hands, right? But it also said that it set the price point for music at free, meaning if you just wanted to listen to a song, you didn't want to have to go out and buy it, you had the ability to get it for free. And that free did many things to the record labels and artists. The first thing it did to the record labels was it almost put them out of business, right? So they had to figure out a way to sue the heck out of Napster, Sean Fanning, and all those guys over there. And then the second thing that it did was it allowed artists like yourself and myself to an opportunity to actually get our music heard away from the big system. And the reason why I say that was because without those peer-to-peers, people wouldn't have been able to share my music, and my name wouldn't have gotten big enough for a label to say, let me give him an opportunity.
Right.
So definitely a gift and a curse, but I'm pro. I used to tell people, if you go burn my music, that's fine. Just show up to my concert, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the trade-off.
That I love that outlook. Now I want to ask you this as well. Speaking on the gift and the curse, and clearly you really like that digital age, but do you feel that with records and full albums not being consumed the way they used to be, do you feel that's hurt the artist creativity? I feel like now, with everybody wanting to sell those one-offs, that people are just crapping out these horrible songs that just disappear into the ether.
Yeah. No, you said it best. I think we are in the era of, and it's interesting enough, I don't know where we go from here, but we're in the era of quick consumption. And it's crazy because this is actually like a bigger conversation in music. This is going into like artificial intelligence, and this is starting to go into these untapped territories that we as humans have never been in, or at least to our knowledge, we haven't. Everybody has a different theory. I think the issue is that we're consuming things so quickly that it's forcing creators to feel like, in order for them to be a part of today's society, they got to get into some sort of algorithm. So everybody's like pinned in on this whole algorithm thing. And so much so that I think people are afraid to put out good content now. And it's sad because this is my theory, right? I don't care about sales numbers. I don't look at that anymore. I used to when I was signed to a record label, because you want to make money for the record label and yourself. I look at things based on intellectual property now, which is IP, meaning when I create something, whatever I created is going to exist forever now. And at some point in time, whatever I create can always start to generate and pick up and generate money.
Right.
So for the creators out there that are listening, my advice is, don't always, I mean, I get it. It's a job now to pay attention to algorithms. You got to know what content is selling. But realistically, just if you like what you're doing, put it out. Because I get calls now 15 years later for a record I put out 15 years ago for it to be synced into movies and things like that. And most of the era that listened to my record back then, like us on this call, we're not necessarily going in clubs and partying anymore. We're a little bit more toned down with our lifestyle. And I'm like, there's a lot of people like me that are sitting down waiting for content that's geared toward me. So I mean, I'm on the sense of put the IP out, because 15 years from now, some kid in the middle of whatever country in the world can get your music and say, wow, this is dope. Let me sample it and then make a new record out of it, and it becomes a hit record.
Yeah.
Different times, different things, and technology is going to be bad on us based on quick consumption, but your creativeness and your ability to create music, and it can be consumed at any time. It's just going to live on the internet forever, and that's a good thing.
So, we have one final question that we ask all of our guests. The most important question of the show. The show is called the Hook and Bridge Podcast for a reason. I consider myself the hook of the show. I'm kind of the bright, shining face entertainer, the thing that keeps everybody coming back for more. And then my little sister over there.
I think your sister was just like, nope, I don't know. I think she might be. She's like, wait a minute here. No,
so she's the bridge of the show. She's the a little more subtle, deeper questioning, and just kind of ties the whole production together. And then my wife here is the and symbol in between. I like to call her our executive producer. But what we ask all of our guests is, when you're producing music, consuming music, when writing music, what is more important to you in the production process? What do you enjoy more, the hook of a song or the bridge of a song?
This is gonna be a quick one for me. I'm gonna say the hook.
Yeah.
I think so. I've had a lot of, I've managed a few artists, and I've also created a few what we call production writing teams. And one of the things I always like to mentor some of the younger talent that I manage is, the hook is the opportunity for you to keep let me say, how do I put this? The hook is should be the most simplistic part of the record. It's the part that you want people engaged in the most. Because what happens is, when they engage in the hook, then they can stand and tolerate every other part of the record. The bridge itself usually doesn't come in until probably, if depending on how you sequence a record, you got a hook, verse, hook, maybe bridge, or verse, hook, verse, bridge, hook. So the bridge usually doesn't come in until the end. I think the bridge is usually the most beautiful part of a song. Hands down, when you get to the bridge, that's when you throw everything at it. As far as beauty is concerned, the hook is the most beautiful. I mean, the bridge is the most beautiful part of a record. But, and this is the business side of me speaking, a person won't get to the bridge unless the hook is catchy enough, for them to get there. And I always like to say, and I perform a lot, if I can keep someone's attention for 1 minute on a song, I'm happy. And that 1 minute is usually a hook, a verse, and then another hook. So the attention span of the audience is not as long as people would think it is. And sometimes, an artist will go 3 minutes into a song, and you're looking in the audience and people are just, they're starting to get a little restless. So for me, it's the hook. I appreciate all parts of music, and for every artist it's different. but without a doubt, for me, I'm gonna go with hook, and anytime I write something, I'm gonna probably try to write the hell out of that hook section.
I will say I think that's like one of the best responses we've had to that question. Nobody's really described the bridge as like a beautiful part of the song, but for me that's how I always viewed it too. Like if I'm writing something, to me the bridge needs to be interesting and elegant and just slightly off from the rest of the song to kind of put everything together. So I think that's a fantastic way to put it, man.
Absolutely.
All
My
right.
feelings were only a little hurt.
Listen, you are the most beautiful part of the
See?
show. There you go. That's how we flip it around.
I like that. Yeah.
There you go.
So we got this really awesome game for you, man. We love to play games here. My wife creates all the games, and this one is near and dear to my heart. And I think you're gonna like it too as a businessman.
Okay.
Taylor's gonna go ahead and pull up the screen here. But this one is called They Want How
remember.
Much? And the
Okay.
concept is you, me, and Taylor are going to kind of prices right this. We're going to see a picture of,
Okay.
of a music item, and we're going to see if we can nail down the price.
Okay. Oh, this might be right in my lane. So
That's what I
So
thought.
you got
man.
to enable.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's my bad.
You
I
gotta
got
enable my.
excited.
Yeah. I can't do anything.
There you go.
let's see how many I get right. Hopefully.
All right. How do
When I
I,
found out about you being involved in tech and like developing apps and stuff and being so involved in like the production side of things, I was like, this is the perfect game for us to play.
Perfect. Okay.
And then she's gonna hit slideshow. Oh, Taylor.
what?
There you go.
I'm getting there.
All right. So
Okay.
next slide, Taylor. Let's do this. We'll let you go first, and then Taylor and I will guess.
Oh, so am I guessing the price of this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
I had one of these, so this might be. I don't know if the price has changed. I want to say, is it a range or do I got to get it nail on? Like,
Just closest.
I want to say, is it like $900 somewhere around that range? Apollo Twin X 900.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess $699.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Like $6.99.
No, $699.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the next
I'm
slide
at
will be the price.
$8.99.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go $6.50.
$650.
Okay.
All right. And
Is
the
it on the
answer
next slide?
is yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Ooh,
Expansive.
okay.
So you won that one. You were the closest.
Okay,
But
I was the closest. There you
Yeah.
go.
that was way
Spicy.
higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
That
What's on-
is,
what was
yeah. I
the-
mean, I think I may have a discount that can get people that a little bit cheaper.
Why does it say 1,300 value? But it's okay. Never mind. I just can't read. Forget what I was saying. All right. Next one.
All right, next one. Oh, okay. This one I got in the bag.
Focus
Isn't
right.
that the same? Yours is just bigger?
Yeah, this is the bigger version,
Yeah.
but when it comes to the
Mm.
budget-friendly studio, like we were talking earlier, if you want to put a studio in your house, when you're talking
This is
budget-friendly,
it.
this is the go-to box right here.
So there's a mic and a headphone. So I would have originally said $199, but I'm gonna go with $399 because of the headphone and the microphone. I could be off by $100, but it's
See,
easy.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go $599.
Okay.
You
You
said you have the bigger version, right?
I do have the larger version of the Focusrite.
How much
Mhm.
did you pay for the large version?
Oh, that's giving too much away. I can't bid.
Well, I'm gonna say if you said $5.99. All right, I'm gonna go $4.75.
Oh, she undercut you like
Oh wow.
How cheap
You
that
were
is.
Oh, I
you
was-
were
I-
almost
I-
spot on.
well, I said $399, but I wanted to say $299. But yep, that's actually really good.
That's
Yeah.
actually an incredible deal. I didn't realize. Wow.
Mhm. That's actually
So
really
how much
good.
did you pay for yours?
For mine, the larger version, I think I paid almost $1,000, but I got the 8-channel box. Yeah.
Oh boy. See, you could have got two
Yeah.
smaller versions, and would have had
Yeah,
two
And we
headphones
could've went
and
on
two microphones.
vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right, let's see. Next one. Oh, okay.
Oh, this is a TLM 103. So I think I know this price is usually around $14.99. So I think this is about a
Yeah.
$1,500 microphone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm gonna say 1,200 just to go on the safe side.
Okay.
Taylor's like, I have no clue.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You're right
wow.
on. Actually,
Okay.
Look at you.
right on.
1-1 on that one.
There we go.
All right, next one. Oh,
Rodecaster Pro
Oh, the
integrated audio.
Rodecaster.
I've heard of this device. I'm gonna say $1,000 even, $999.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go ahead and say 1,500 on this one.
ooh, I was gonna say 1,300.
Mm.
It looks like
Oh,
oh,
wow.
okay. Well, that's a good deal as well. $699.
Yeah.
So that one
way
goes
cheaper
to
than
Mims
that.
as well. So Mims, you're in the lead, man.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
suck.
I mean,
I thought we were gonna
even though I think on the Price is Right,
like-
we'd all be over.
All right, so
These
this price is just for one of the monitors, not for two.
Okay.
so those are the 8-inch. I think I have.
Mhm.
I don't know what I have in here. One of my speakers are literally the same one. I don't know if I have the 8-inch though. I think the 8-inch are the bigger ones.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say for one monitor, it's $149.99.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm gonna say 199.
199. I'm gonna say 299.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Wow.
wait, is that for one?
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
one.
Where you guys shopping at?
Guitar Center.
Yeah, I gotta look that one up.
Mhm.
400 for one. Wow.
Wow.
Okay. Stay
This
away
is why
from
I'm not
those.
in the music industry.
That massive bundle of software. Well, that's got 3 stars, so we're not gonna give this a lot here.
Bad
So software could be tricky, because most of the times people are willing to give software away, depending on where you buy it from. But this is Guitar Center, and Guitar Center likes to make some money, so I'm going to say 200 and 199, because that is I don't even know if I'd pay that for this software.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Not
say
to
since
mention,
it has 3 stars, it's probably super expensive and not that great.
Mhm.
well, and just looking at this this little filter or this EQ line here, that's a pretty basic EQ too. It's not even like super integrated.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say 100 on the dot.
Okay, where was I at? 200, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
200.
All right, let's see.
Should have got it.
His footage.
What you thought?
Oh
This
my.
is 399.
Ooh.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Their
why it
markups have
has
got
3
to be
stars.
incredible.
Oh, so this is another
Ooh,
digital
okay.
product.
Mhm.
Oh, I know this
IK
brand.
I know, that's why I put it on
amplitude.
here. I was like, he would know what this is.
Um,
I'm gonna say $99.
$99. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tricky for me because depending on Sansampton. Yeah, I would probably say I'm gonna say $129.99. Just because that probably would be what they advertise it at.
I'm gonna say $69.99. I do have this software at home, but mine came with my Apple, whatever that like Rode recorder is that Apple made.
Mhm.
So I think mine was just free, but I'm gonna say $69.99.
Hang on, stand by. Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Why is it not going?
I don't know.
Broke it. Oh. Oof.
$49.99.
I put this on here specifically because it was originally $299.99 and it's currently
And now
on
it's
sale
40.
for $50. And I was like,
That's
Crazy.
something else.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically,
So
we
who
were
wins
both
then?
right.
I was gonna say that's if you take the average of the two, then you get a
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
170,
funny.
170.
that's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, that's nuts. Software
That
is
is-
really weird because people, it's
Yeah.
already built, so you could literally charge whatever you want for
Right.
it. You know?
oh. 24
Okay,
pack.
so
Okay.
24 pack.
Mhm.
I believe I know this bundle. Huh. I'm gonna say $199.99, $200.
Oh, for some styrofoam?
I know.
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
foam.
Oh, not styrofoam. You know what I meant. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I do know they like to jack the heck out of these things. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm gonna say 250. I think
Oh,
you're
I
right on
see.
the money though at that 199 for a 24
Yeah.
pack. I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna say 200.
Oh, you're
Okay.
gonna
So
one
you're
fifty.
gonna
Yeah,
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
buy
price this right.
Bob Barker me, huh? Oh well, listen, I think we were all in that same
Yeah,
range. So.
yeah.
Mhm.
But 200 wins.
Yeah.
I'm on the board. Oh, okay.
Sennheiser HD Pro Studio Monitor headphone black. Good reviews. HD 300 Pro headphones are really, really weird, but I do see that they have like a special connection cord. Looks
Mhm.
like I would say that they're probably really good headphones. The top of the headphone looks really good. I'm gonna go with $399.99.
Hmm. I'm interested on this this HD 300 Pro screen that's on the side of there. I don't know if that's just a tag or is that maybe like you can virtually adjust the volume. But
Well, highest
I'm gonna say 200 on these. I think I might
gonna
even be
say-
high, to be honest. I just don't recognize the brand.
Yeah.
I know Sennheiser, they make microphones, so but yeah,
Right.
I don't know
What
how
was
good their
everybody else
studio
again?
monitoring.
What was that?
I think I'm at $399, so right
Mhm.
right around
What was that?
400.
Mine was
399? Okay,
200.
I think I'm gonna go 299.
That's safe.
Oh,
Oh, hey, look
200
at that.
200 wins.
200 wins.
Nice.
I think that
Nice.
ties me and Mims up right there.
All right.
I think
Let's
this
see if I
is.
can.
There's one more.
Oh, this is the last one. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, rechargeable. That's a new one. DJ Den and DJ Prime. I mean, Den and DJ Prime go rechargeable 2-channel standalone DJ controller, 7-inch rechargeable battery for 4 hours of use. That is not good if you're in a party and you decide that you left your charger at home and it's 3 hours and
Mhm.
55 minutes in. Good machine though. It looks cool. Denon makes pretty reasonably priced stuff. I'm gonna say $279.99. Actually, no, I'm gonna say sorry, $379.99.
I'm gonna say
I'm gonna go
I'm gonna
399.
you're gonna say 399. I'm gonna say a flat 500.
Okay.
Oh
Ooh.
wow.
Ooh, that is a lot of money for that controller. Why?
And it only
Brand
lasts
new
4
product.
hours.
And again, this is Guitar Center really making it difficult for the talented people out there trying to.
Yeah. I mean, this goes back to my point. Some
Yeah.
people, these are really
and these are current prices.
Mhm.
luxurious gifts for anyone wanting to become a music professional.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Wow.
Unreal. Well, I think it's safe to say Mims and I tied on this. So looks like we're both
Good
winners
game.
today, man. Good game.
Exactly.
We gotta
Well, the
like groceries or something.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Only winner in that one is Guitar Center.
That's
Apparently.
right.
Mm.
That's right. Um,
Yeah.
so tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what you got going on. What kind of upcoming stuff you've got going on? Anything in the works that you want to talk about or that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean the thing that I'm probably most invested in now is I'm working with a company called Live Trained. They predominantly deal in oddly enough they deal in UFC fighting, so they train people live on how to throw punches and anything from technique in that world. But they're pivoting into the music space and kind of running the music department for them. And the goal is to obviously try to educate people in the space and find a different way to educate people. So someone would come in and any one of the professionals that probably have access to, whether it be attorneys or producers, they'd be able to sit down and take a one-on-one consultation with some people that I know. And I think it's a cool concept because if you think about people's love for music, but their lack of access to certain individuals, this just kind of gives them the ability to, maybe, like if I'm a producer and I want to know how someone programmed their drums, and I can, pay them to sit down with them, and it's not an astronomical amount of money, then it's more beneficial for me to do that. And if these tools existed when I was on the come up, I feel like I would have done a lot of things differently. So I think what they're doing is cool, and the fact that they want to pivot into music, and they're giving me pretty much the keys to kind of drive the car on that side. That's one of my latest ventures. I'm really big on the Web3 side of things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that space and what that brings, but I'm pro ownership. So I'm an advocate for anybody that's building music technology in the Web3 space and in the decentralized space, and the ability to give the power back to the people. I think that I've been through all systems, whether it be independent, and I've been on a professional music label. And I'm not saying that my time on a music label was the worst time in my life, because they've done a lot of things for me as an artist, but I also know that there's a lot of things that you get taken advantage of. And what I'm hoping is, unlike what the MP3 did with Steve Jobs' era and how Apple pretty much came in the music industry and depicted the outcome of music and the price point of music, I feel like what technology should do now is even out the playing fields a lot more for the average consumer. So my goal is really just to be behind or in support of anything that's helping musicians moving forward.
That's incredible, man. And that was something I was talking about with my wife before the show, is just how dedicated you are to helping the music community, and especially those who are a little more less fortunate than others. Like, I had that background growing up, and having somebody like you in the pocket would have been life-changing for me. So
yeah,
definitely
Thank
all
you.
of our fans, go out, check out Mims, follow him on Instagram,
Thank
and
you.
follow any of his upcoming projects. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Okay.
Like, you have no idea.
Pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. Everybody, as much as I love Guitar Center, stay away until they lower some of their prices.
Yeah.
We have to go to Sam Ash or Sweetwater or one of
Yeah,
these other
Sweetwater's
companies.
where it's at, man.
But no, it's good. No, I have some really good friends at Guitar Center, so I'm sorry. I love Guitar Center, but no, it was a pleasure, and definitely playing the game with you guys, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity on your platform, and thank you for sure.
Yeah, thank you, man, and have a wonderful night. And again, everybody, definitely go check out Mims anywhere you can. Check out those old hits, man. They're still classics, still great
Thank
songs. So again,
Appreciate it.
thanks, man. Have a great
Thank
afternoon.
you, guys. Thank you. Hook and Bridge Podcast. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I'm so
That
excited.
was so much fun.
before we start fangirling, promo Polly.
Oh, sorry, I picked up my phone.
Promo Polly. Okay. All right, are we ready?
Mhm.
My thing is, gotta get a new camera. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we post a new video.
Why did you do a thumbs up? That is no.
I don't know. We did the opposites. You went like this, and I
Because
went like this.
It's a like, a thumbs up, and then you hit the notification bell. We've done that 41 times. Why do you not know how to do
Yeah,
it?
what can you do, man? As always, definitely give us a quick rating. You listen this far, so please just jump on and
5
type
stars.
us a little thing on there too, because I love to read those. So if you just type in like, "Hey Harley, it's great to hear from you.
Your
This is your mom,"
your mom won't.
whatever,
I know.
whatever.
Yeah, she might.
Say whatever you want to on there. Just give us the rate and review. It really does help the show. And as always, go on the Instagram for more additional content. The YouTube as always as well. It's been real. Peace.